Building Committee meeting on January 29th at 6:30 p.m. here at the Lakeville Police Station to order. LakeCAM is recording. Is there anybody else here recording the meeting? Okay, if we could rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, it's nice to see you all. I know it's, we kind of had a couple of, potential meetings, but we kind of put them off a little bit until we got through our ballot vote yesterday. So as you all know, the resulting was in favor of pursuing our project, which is great. Now there's a lot of work ahead of us. So, this meeting will probably be brief, but, we'll go over the schedule of, what's to come, give the committee an opportunity to ask some questions that they might have. There were some members that were unable to attend. They're out of town, so I'm sure they'll catch up with the meeting, at their leisure and be ready to hit the road next meeting for us. So at this point, I guess, Taylor, if you wouldn't mind just kind of taking it over and
sure, roll it right over, yeah. No, first of all, congratulations to the committee, to the town, to the people that supported the project. It's an obvious need for the town, so we couldn't be more excited to get going. The design team and us have already been talking about kind of the strategies moving forward at this point. So we're excited to get back to it. We're excited to put this out. If you look at the schedule that I passed out, it's the same schedule we've really been looking at, but I brought it back just to kind of remind everybody of kind of where we're going with everything. Now that this portion of the work is approved, Secotio can now take the documents from design development into construction documents, and we're looking to get this out to bid this summer. So June, get this out to bid. A couple months of bidding, and by the end of the summer, early fall, hopefully we have a contractor on board and we're moving forward. So that's the plan of attack for the next few months coming soon here. So we're excited to get going. We have some work to do with natural heritage as well now. Some turtle classes some of us will be taking, but we had an excellent opportunity with this project. We already did that, went through it. Everything worked out well, so we're hoping it'll be the same thing on that side of the camp as well. So I know we have the water line as well that's part of this, and Andrew reached out just today to talk about that a little bit. So we're starting to put our heads together on strategy about potentially breaking up the project, bidding the water line separately, and then getting the fire station going right behind it, the exact way that we did this project, which worked out great. Contractor that came behind the water line loved the fact that he didn't have to worry about any of that. It was already done, ready for him to go. So a lot in the mix now, but now your professionals can get to work, put their head down, and get this thing out to bid.
Excellent. This is, Andrew, if we could get this up on the website, tomorrow, that would be great. I think it's just every time we update it, we'll just, update it on, the website for our residents to follow along with. So.
Yeah, it matches this graphic that we had done before that was used for, marketing purposes, everything, no changes to it, but this is just kind of a broader form of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Lacey said it's coming out in the February newsletter as well. That graphic is going to be included in it.
Oh,
too,
good.
So.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right. Anybody from the committee have any questions about timeline or? So as far as the construction documents are concerned, how involved is the committee in that?
So there'll be, so we've been kind of continuing. So we've had a few meetings with the chief and his team on certain objects, a lot more detailed on it. So a few weeks ago, we met about alerting systems and IT and low voltage access control. There's a lot of kind of little things that we still need to meet on, and some of those will come back to the committee, some choices. Probably 75% of going forward is a little nitpicky thing, like we may work 2 months without you hearing anything, but we're working on little details. How do you put the building together? How do you fit everything in there? So the main selections have probably already been made, but there will be at periodic times some choices that have to be made or reviewed by the committee when, let's say, trying to get something to work. Just last week we met with a structural engineer, which was the initial process. They come in and say, I want columns here, 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 here. And we said, we can't have that one. And at some point there may be a conflict where we say, okay, we don't really have a choice, or to not do this, it's going to cost, 20% more, or whatever that situation is, where we want the committee's input. But a lot of the next few months is really just us working on the details to get all the components in.
Yeah, I think the biggest input from people at this group will be fire department input, but also none of the finishes have been really selected at this point. So, we still have to pick colors, we still have to pick, the type of tile and carpet and all that stuff will be committee-based decisions. So those are probably the biggest things coming down the line of, final tweaks on the building. Obviously anything will be, shared with the committee, in that sense, but we still plan to continue our meetings with the department, the chief and his kind of subgroup of firefighters there, on selections that, they need to make for the fire station.
Yeah, over the last month, we've been giving them lists and homework of, what do you want in this room? We've still kind of a big picture, what equipment do you want? But we have to go through each room and say, okay, how does this room going to function for you? And we got to do that over, 50 different rooms. So there'll be a lot of details, mostly based on the fire department and the chief's team.
If you want me to communicate, maybe summarize some of the stuff that's going on, I can loop everybody in. But essentially the product is they provide us tools like to facilitate our to communicate with them. They give us like a template to follow, and we would like to have, don't need. And the firefighters really don't have any access to the budget numbers directly, their concept of it, so they tend to be a little more aggressive about what their have-to-haves are, and then I come in behind and basically scrutinize their work and kind of revise what we really have to have and what we don't need, things like that, and then we discuss it with professionals and kind of push it that way.
Okay.
So that's been the process so far.
And we're happy to share those with the committee if you're interested. I mean, a lot of it's nitpicky stuff. It's like, is there going to be a phone in this room? Like, there's a lot of just kind of monotonous stuff that we have to check off each room and then, to get to the final product. So.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things that we haven't done yet is in the plans, there's a basis of design for the HVAC equipment, but there'll still be a presentation on what the HVAC equipment is planned to be. Look at different options, alternatives. So that selection hasn't been made yet. At this point, like I said, there's a basis of design that was carried in the estimate, but those sort of ideas and, thinking, lighting controls and the systems in the building, they're all decisions that still need to be made.
And those will be things we'll be coming to the committee with for an understanding, because the town's going to have to occupy the building and maintain the building. To be honest, they're pretty much standard. Almost everybody selects the same type of systems these days, but we'll come give a presentation, the pros and cons behind them. And if there are questions and somebody, we'll have the engineering team here that will be able to say, well, the other option would be this, and here's the pros and cons going in that direction.
I think one of the things we needed some clarity on, I've never been through it, and it's something that you probably haven't been through, is the meeting room, training room, and what's going to be required. What does the town want to see or LakeCAM want to see as far as technology in that room, facilitate what they're going to do, the taping of meetings and things like that, and maybe the budget concerns surrounding that technology. Does this come out of the project? There's another funding source for this that's related to them operating out of that space. And we reached out to LakeCAM. We're still waiting to hear back because we wanted to have some kind of a, maybe a little meeting to kind of break the ice with that that topic, so.
Yeah, the way we did it with, you know, this specific room was, you know, we had multiple meetings with Jose and his team and came up with kind of the final solutions and design. So along the same kind of pathway or parallel to what Secosio is doing, we're going to start doing get onboarding like of the owner vendors. So we'll start, you know, to do IT meetings and, you know, radios, security will play into that. So there's some synergy back and forth. But obviously LakeCAM would be one of those things, some equipment pieces, but there's some furniture, you know, so the owner vendor stuff too will start to pick up some speed as well. So we're getting prices, you know, before we're going out to bid on some of those things, we know what they're going to be.
Okay.
So as far as the actual RFP process where we put out to bid, that's something that you will handle, right? That
Yes.
goes through you.
Yep.
And so we're looking at roughly going out June. Okay. All right. Just trying to wrap my head around.
Are you guys setting up a pre-qualification committee, or?
Yes, we will. That's a good point. That is on here too. So because it's over $10 million, we'll have to pre-qualify. I think we spoke about that a little bit before, but so we'll set up, we'll come and kind of lay out the entire process for the town. It is kind of a lengthy process. We'll probably be starting it, I would say, within a month from now. It takes about 3 months to fully complete. We have to send out pre-qualification packages. Then we receive them back from any GC or sub bidders that are interested in the project. So we could get back 150 to 200 packages. We use an online process now,
That's good.
which has helped really make things easier to do. So we'll walk you through that online process. Typically we need, you know, all the help we can get, but there has to be, by state law, the architect has to participate, the OPM has to participate, and then at least one person from our committee. The more the better, because the more packages we have, the more people we have, then we can break it up. And then it all goes through state guidelines. So we're reviewing the packages based on certain criteria that the state has, that the committee, that the contractors have to meet. We can change the weighting of those criteria based on what the committee feels are certain weights and, you know, preferences that they like to have in those contractors, but we can't change what those criteria are. So so it's it's a great process, and how it's set up, it's very easy to follow. And, you know, if you just follow the way that the state has it, you know, you'll come up with a real result. So we just finished 2 of them just this past month and the month before. We've done it a bunch of times, but we'll walk you exactly through what that process is. And the more volunteers, the better.
Are you seeing an increase in contractors trying to get pre-qualified through all this? I'm just curious on how hungry contractors are.
We've seen an increase. Yeah, I'd say we're seeing more pre-qualification packages, but also we're seeing more bids. We've seen a major increase in bids from, you know, receiving 1, 2, or 3 bids on construction projects of this size to like 8, 9, 10 bidders for GCs. That's what I'm saying. So we're seeing the competition back. We just got it on 2 bids recently. You know, the numbers were just stacked all within 1% of each other. So we're seeing some really good stuff on the street right now. Yeah. I would say prices haven't dipped. They've kind of leveled off, but the competition's back. You're not getting somebody that's just throwing a wild number, hoping they get it, and they're the only bidder and they get it. We're actually seeing some really competitive pricing right now, which is great. Yeah.
Good.
How many filed sub-bid categories you think you're gonna have?
10 or 11?
Yeah, probably. Somewhere in there. It would probably be at least 10. We're probably going to trigger almost everyone to
Yeah.
have. I mean, there's going to be a couple where it'll be borderline, but we're going to probably trigger all of them. We're pretty close.
So if we have 12 and you get 10 each, there's 120 packages just right there. So but it used to, you know, some people still do it this way, but you would actually get a package of pre-qualification material and could be, you know, 100 pages deep. But the way that we do it online now, it's helpful because it actually breaks up each section into tabs, and so it's very easy to review. So I think you'll like the way you do it if you do participate.
So, well, the merrier, from what I'm understanding, so.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to learn and go through it.
Takes
if you
a long
haven't done it
time.
before, you know.
Okay.
But it does take some time.
Did you say something?
No, I said I'm looking forward to it. It's all new to me, so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we usually handle the GCs, the architect and OPM. I usually break those up because, not because they're the most critical, but you know, we've worked with a lot of them, so we understand kind of the ins and outs for most of them. So we usually like to pass down the sub bidders to the group.
Anybody else?
I don't know if this is the time to bring it up. I just wanted to, if anybody's watching, thank all the residents that came out to vote and all the partners that we had, kind of getting the word out and helping us get some outreach to the public. It was a lot of residents in town stepped up and did some great communication for us. So thank to everybody in the room too for their efforts so far. It was a pretty big hurdle to clear, and very grateful for how everybody showed up. 70% of the vote's pretty good these days. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
A little surprising, I gotta admit. I thought it was gonna be closer.
Okay, we have a couple of invoices in front of us for approval. Nate, you do this so well.
Motion to approve invoice of Pomeroy Associates LLC dated 12/31/24, invoice number 23.111.0-10 in the amount of $14,322.
There's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll, please.
Sukforth, aye.
McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye. Make a motion to approve Secotio and Associates Architects invoice number 23083-9 dated 1/2/2025, the amount of $159,300.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion, a second discussion? Hearing none. Roll, please.
Sukforth, aye.
McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Simon, aye.
Darling, aye.
All right, so we'll just make sure we get those signed before everybody leaves tonight. Any old business coming in front of us? I think it's too soon for that. Maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll have some updates.
Yeah. New business before the board.
Just a question for Andrew, and we can talk offline too, but the water line and the potential maybe source that you have, is there a deadline on any of that, or?
There's 3 or 4 probably options: state infrastructure, federal infrastructure. I was just thinking Mass Works,
Okay.
but it's kind of like, I think in June, and they kind of tell you like right after, so we could probably spend, if we got it like in June, July.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure what your thing was.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so I did talk to Spencer after the emails were going around this afternoon. It will be faster to separate them,
Okay.
just because the process for the buildings can be a lot longer than the process for a water line. He's got to really look at it before we could tell you, it's going to be X amount of time before we can get that done, but it would speed up that piece.
Okay.
And then it would, so if there are deadlines, if that's, we can work on that separately. I mean, they need to know that and all the information involved in that right away anyways, so that, from an overall design standpoint, that's the water coming into the site is key, especially for fire protection and the plumbing engineer. So all that information has to be done pretty quickly. So I would probably say roughly at least a month before, to get something going, but we can really kind of dive into that and separate it. But if there are deadlines for some of those opportunities, then let's just stay in touch and we can do our best to hit those dates.
Yeah, we have 2 new employees that have dealt with Mass Works, Mass Development type projects, so I have to meet with them tomorrow.
That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, if the money could be available at the beginning of June, I don't see any reason why we couldn't have a water line project out, bidding, in May.
Yeah, I mean,
what I mean, so
that timeframe seems reasonable.
yeah, it seems like it could work well.
Does the scope of the water line project have to match the needs of the fire station, or can it be more of a community need? Because I've been asked about fire protection, the voluntarily installing fire protection in a building up the road, maybe 1,200 feet past the fire station on the right, the proposed fire station. A collector of some expensive assets in this building, and he's very worried about if the building caught on fire, having his vehicles protected. He's talked about cost share, all this other stuff, but I don't want to overcomplicate things and cause delays. But it's a question that was out there from a private citizen.
So I would, if we're looking for an alternate funding source, I think that would just be the town saying whether you wanted to look into that option.
Okay.
I would say if it's staying in the project budget, I would say no.
Yeah.
That would be something that would take.
I don't want to complicate things, but it's out there.
To oversimplify it, the design is the pipe's so big underground, you just extend it. I mean that is the oversimplification of it, but that is essentially what's done. We're not going to reduce the size of that pipe. It's going to stay what it is. If you make it larger, you lose pressure, so they're not going to make it larger. Like, it's going to stay essentially what's there. So whether we extend it 500 feet or 2,000 feet, it's just the cost, really.
Yeah, it's just the lineal foot cost.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep everyone updated when I find out.
All right.
The other thing I was going to say is we'll work with Kyle to put together a milestone schedule of kind of when the committee would need to make decisions on, HVAC, finishes, those sort of things. We'll kind of get your idea of when you'll need to be at the meeting for those, so you'll be prepared for those.
Oh, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, it's not going to be sprung on you, but we'll try to keep you in the loop of when that's going to happen. Send you material prior to, so everybody has a chance to review that sort of thing.
And then in the coming weeks, there'll be some activity on the site. We've been working with Nate to get some more test pits for PAR, which hopefully it can happen in the next couple of weeks. I think we're just waiting on scheduling with DPW, something that makes sense. We're going to have some borings done in the near future as well. So there'll be a machine on site to get for that work.
Yeah, these are additional borings.
So the first pit, the test pit's really about PAR, understanding drainage. The borings are really a structural information find. And then pretty quickly we should talk about getting a flow test on a hydrant. Ideally it would be closer, but we'll have to take what we have. I don't know, January and February is not the ideal time to be blowing a lot of water out of a hydrant, but
it's going to be 70 in November.
Yeah.
Today would have been perfect.
Well, based on that, we can do it as soon as Nate's 70 degrees comes up. But because that is key for the calculations, especially for the sprinkler system. So we'll work on that. The sooner we can find a window to get that done where weather will cooperate and we don't create a dangerous situation.
Is that something Taunton Water would handle for us, or is that something that we have to contract out?
So that it really depends on the town. Some towns,
They did the last one when we did the water line before, but the engineers want a new updated one just because it's been a while. So
if Taunton
Water did it before.
They'd probably do it again.
I don't remember if they charged a fee or not, but we can find out.
Yeah, I don't remember, but even if they don't, we could easily coordinate a third party, somebody else coming in.
Yeah, some water districts require a third party to do it because they don't have the manpower to do it. Other ones do it. So if they did it last time, it's only been a few years. I assume they are still doing it unless they're short on people and have decided to farm that out. But we can verify that.
Got to follow the procedure, document it correctly.
Yeah, I used to have the code books on how to do it, but I don't have it anymore.
And with regards to you know, the additional, testing. I just wanted to, we've had the conversation with, DPW, with Frank, and, asked for his assistance and, you know, through that
For the-
process.
For the boring and the
Yeah.
the test bits.
Yeah, just want to make sure that, you know, it's never assumed that, you know, DPW is just gonna do it, but I know, his schedule is, you know, busy like, you know, the rest of us, so I just want to make sure that, we give him opportunity to get that scheduled.
I have contact information for the engineer for Taunton Water, if you want me to facilitate something, if it's sooner or later.
It's probably good to send that along, yeah, whatever that might be.
Okay, so when are we meeting next? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Do you want?
I can't say that, I mean, we could probably, if we met in 2 weeks, it would be more really about laying out a schedule. I won't say there'll be a lot of progress unless something comes up or issues with getting some of these, site tests done, because that's gonna, I mean, there'll be things going on in the background, but that'll be the most noticeable thing, is just getting the test pits and the boring scheduled. So it's really, if we meet in 2 weeks, it's really about schedule. Obviously, we'll share that with the committee as things get scheduled. So that's up to you, whether it could wait.
I think I would put it out a month at this point, just to get them rolling again. We can be, you know, communicating via email and, you know, keep things coming too. It doesn't need to.
I think we have, we haven't planned it yet, but we're trying to coordinate another field trip to look at state, I think it's Westboro. Was it Westboro Fire Department? Look
It
at
has the APS system.
Yeah, look for their alerting system and how they configure it, and because it's a real good opportunity for the town to kind of automate their how we're notified of emergencies and things like that, and it's something that can translate into like narrowing down our turnout times and our response times. It becomes automated by call type, and all of a sudden our lights are coming up and we're getting notifications on our phones and our devices that we have a call at this location before he's even keyed up the mic. So it's pretty cool. It's, you know, trying to deliver what we advertised with this new building.
Yeah. One of the meetings we'll be setting up with you too, Chief, is with your radio vendor. So I want to set that up pretty soon to start understanding, so they know what the needs are.
And just because of shared infrastructure, I'd like to tie in the police department on that as well.
Yeah.
So
I believe it's Cybercom, right?
I've worked mostly with industrial as far as for hardware.
Okay.
But Cybercom does more of the network side of it, like the repeaters and things like that.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
We've worked with both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a month out makes sense. I think we could have a good, productive meeting with updates at that point.
So February 26th.
I think, and then if we need to schedule a meeting,
Yeah,
we'll convene one.
all right.
Cool.
All right, so let's go with, Wednesday, February 26th, 6:30 here. And I think, Christina booked the police station.
Ooh, I think I'm actually going to be at FCAM that week.
Oh, is that FCAM?
Yeah, and there's actually some vendors I'm supposed to meet up with up there.
You could go 3 weeks out, and
Do the
the
19th.
19th.
I'm away on the 19th.
You're away.
School vacation week.
Oh, that's
in Rhode Island.
Oh, all right.
I may be away too. I have to check.
Okay, so that would put us onto the 5th of March.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that as being a major, you know, like I said, there'll be a lot going on, but there's not a lot that is gonna be of super interest to
Yeah.
everyone at
The
this.
construction documents phase, you know, Matt will tell you, it's kind of the time when the architect has his head down and he's designing. You know, they're trying to get those drawings ready for bid. So there's a ton of work going on, but not a lot to really show, I guess, at this point in time.
Is that okay with invoices and stuff getting paid?
Yeah, that's the only thing, that the invoices,
Right.
if there is any, I don't know if there's another way to approve them other than at a meeting, but if invoices do come up, that's the only sticking point.
Well, we could always schedule, a virtual meeting.
That could work,
Fine with me.
Yeah.
just to get some
Yeah.
invoices approved if they come
Right.
up, yeah. Thank you, yeah, I think that would be helpful. Yeah, and then if we did maybe an interim virtual meeting too, then we can give updates of, whatever is going on.
Okay. All right, so for now, we'll just, we'll schedule out March 5th. Okay, perfect. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7 PM.
So make that motion.
All right,
Second.
all right. Roll.
Sukforth, aye.
McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Darrell, aye.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, we're
California got
super excited to get going.
Me too.
Me too.